The medical wing of the palace had never seen such activity. Dr. Zena, the court's chief physician, worked alongside human medical specialists who had been hastily summoned from the Terran embassy. Brain scanners hummed softly as they mapped the neural pathways in Marcus's mind, searching for signs of the memory suppression that could explain his lost past. Queen Lyranis stood at the observation window, watching the proceedings with a mixture of hope and terror. If the scans confirmed what she desperately wanted to believe, it would mean that Thane had been alive all these years. But it would also mean that he had been living as someone else, with no memory of their love or their shared dreams. Marcus lay still on the examination table, his eyes closed as the scanners did their work. Even unconscious, his face bore the calm expression she remembered from their quiet moments together in the palace gardens. The same peaceful look he had worn when they would lie together under the stars, planning their future. "Your Majesty," Dr. Zena approached with a datapad in her hands. "The preliminary results are extraordinary." "What have you found?" "Captain Chen's brain shows clear evidence of extensive neural trauma, consistent with what human doctors described from his rescue 20 years ago. But there's something else. Layers of memory suppression that weren't caused by the injury." Lyranis felt her heart skip. "What do you mean?" "Someone deliberately altered his memories. The technique is sophisticated, far beyond what most species were capable of 20 years ago. But humans—" She paused, consulting her notes. Human intelligence services had developed experimental memory modification procedures around that time. "Are you saying he was conditioned to forget his real identity?" "Not just forget, replaced. The memories of his life as Thane weren't destroyed. They were carefully buried and overlaid with a new identity. It would have taken months of treatment and incredible skill." Lyranis gripped the window frame. "Can the memories be restored?" "Theoretically, yes. But the process would be dangerous. We'd essentially be undoing 20 years of neural conditioning. There's no guarantee of success, and there's significant risk of permanent damage." Before Lyranis could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the palace. Red lights flashed in the medical bay as her personal guard rushed in. "Your Majesty," Commander Vextar's voice crackled through the communication system. "We have multiple security breaches, armed intruders in the eastern wing, exactly where Captain Chen predicted they might strike." Lyranis's blood ran cold. The summit was scheduled to begin in 6 hours, with representatives from 12 major species arriving for crucial peace negotiations. An attack now could shatter decades of diplomatic progress. "Status of the human security team?" she asked. "They're responding to the breach, but they're outnumbered. The attackers knew our patrol schedules and defensive positions. This was planned by someone with inside knowledge." On the examination table, Marcus's eyes snapped open. Despite the medical equipment still attached to him, he sat up with sudden urgency. "Lyranis," he said, and her breath caught. It was the first time he had used her name without her royal title. "The attack pattern, I know it. Marcus, you need to rest. The medical procedure—" "No." He swung his legs off the table, ignoring Dr. Zena's protests. "This isn't random. I've seen this strategy before." Images flashed in his mind, fragments of buried memories fighting their way to the surface. A war room filled with holographic displays, raider ships arranged in attack formations, a voice giving orders with cold precision. "The Shadowclaw Syndicate," he whispered. "They're not extinct." Lyranis stared at him. "The Shadowclaw were destroyed 20 years ago. You—" She stopped herself. "Thane's mission eliminated their leadership." "No." Marcus stood unsteadily, his recovered memories warring with his conditioned identity. "The mission was a failure. I was captured, tortured for information about Zephyrian defenses. When I wouldn't break, they tried something else." The pieces fell together with horrifying clarity. "They used human medical technology to break your mind instead," Lyranis finished. But they made a mistake, Marcus continued, his voice growing stronger as more memories surfaced. They thought if they erased Thane, they could create a human agent they could control. They didn't understand human psychology. What do you mean? Marcus looked at her with eyes that suddenly held 20 years of longing. Humans don't just love with their minds, Lyranis. We love with our souls. They could bury my memories, change my appearance, give me a new name and a new life. But they couldn't change what I felt for you. The alarms continued to blare around them, but for a moment, everything else faded away. Lyranis reached out and touched his face, feeling the familiar warmth of his skin. Thane, she whispered. I remember, he said simply. Not everything, not yet. But I remember you. I remember us. And I remember enough about the Shadow Claw to stop them. Commander Vextar's voice cut through their reunion. Your Majesty, the situation is escalating. The intruders have taken hostages in the conference center. They're demanding all summit delegates be turned over to them. Marcus, Thane, was already moving. They're not here for the summit, he said, strapping on the weapons belt one of the guards offered him. This is personal. They've been waiting 20 years for revenge. Revenge for what? For the information I gave you before my capture, the location of their hidden bases, their supply routes, their financial networks. You used that intelligence to cripple their operations across 3 systems. Lyranis felt sick. And now they want payback. They want to destroy everything we built together. The peace, the alliance, your reign, all of it. Then we stop them, she said firmly. What do you need? Thane paused, studying her face with wonder. You're willing to trust me, even though I'm not the same person who left 20 years ago? You're exactly the same person, Lyranis replied. Catharian, human, or anything else, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're here, and you're mine. The smile that crossed his face was pure Thane, full of love and determination. Then let's finish what we started. The next few hours would be remembered in galactic history as a masterpiece of tactical coordination. Thane's recovered memories of Shadowclaw strategies, combined with his 20 years of human military experience, provided the key to defeating the Syndicate's carefully planned assault. But it was the uniquely human approach to the crisis that truly saved the day. Where other species might have focused purely on military solutions, the human security team suggested something different: negotiation combined with psychological warfare. The Shadowclaw leadership is here personally, Thane explained to the hastily assembled Council of War. This attack isn't about money or territory, it's about pride and revenge. That gives us an advantage. How? General Vextar asked. Because humans understand obsession, Thane replied. We know how it clouds judgment and creates vulnerabilities. Their leader, Keth Moore, has been planning this for 20 years. He won't settle for anything less than personal satisfaction. The plan they devised was audacious in its simplicity. Instead of a direct assault that would risk the hostages' lives, they would offer Keth Moore exactly what he wanted: personal confrontation with the people who had destroyed his empire. Lyranis and Thane would walk into the conference center alone, apparently surrendering to the Shadowclaw demands. But they would carry with them a piece of technology that only humans had perfected: a neural broadcast device that could share memories and emotions directly with anyone in range. You want to show them what really happened 20 years ago? Lyranis asked as Thane calibrated the device. I want to show them what humans are capable of when we're pushed too far, he replied. The Shadowclaw think they broke me, made me forget who I was. They're about to learn that they only made me stronger. The confrontation in the conference center was everything Keth Moore had dreamed of. The Raider commander stood before the throne, where he had forced the captured delegates to kneel, savoring his moment of triumph over the queen who had destroyed his syndicate. 20 years, he hissed at Lyranis. 20 years I've waited to watch your precious alliance crumble. And now, Loranes asked calmly, now I kill everyone you care about, one by one, until you beg me to end your suffering. There's something you should know first, Thane said, stepping out from behind Loranes, about what really happened to your prisoner all those years ago. Kethmore's eyes widened as he recognized the face he had personally tortured. Impossible. You're dead. I watched the life leave your eyes myself. You watched Thane die, he agreed. But you didn't just erase a person. You created something new, something you never expected. The neural broadcaster activated, flooding the room with the memories and emotions of a human who had lost everything and rebuilt himself from nothing. The delegates, the raiders, everyone present experienced the journey of a man who had awakened with no past, but an unshakable sense of purpose. They felt his determination to become someone worthy of the love he couldn't remember, but somehow still felt. His dedication to protecting others because he knew, deep in his soul, what loss felt like. His growth from a confused amnesia victim into one of the galaxy's most respected security officers. And finally, they experienced the moment of recognition, the joy of recovering not just his memories, but his understanding of what it meant to be human, the refusal to be broken, the ability to adapt and overcome any obstacle, the power of love to transcend even death. You see, Thane said as the broadcast ended, you didn't destroy me. You gave me 20 years to become something better than I was before. That's what humans do. We take whatever the universe throws at us and we use it to become stronger. Kethmore staggered, his weapon wavering. Around him, his followers were laying down their arms, overwhelmed by the realization that their great enemy had become something they couldn't fight. Hope itself. The Shadowclaw Syndicate's second attempt at revenge ended not in violence, but in surrender. The raiders who had spent 20 years nursing their hatred found themselves unable to fire upon someone who represented the possibility of redemption and renewal. In the aftermath, as diplomatic security teams secured the prisoners and medical teams treated the hostages, Loranes and Thane found themselves alone on the palace's highest balcony. Above them, the same stars they had once wished upon twinkled in the eternal darkness. The summit delegates want to know if the negotiations will proceed as scheduled, Loranes said, reading from a data pad. What did you tell them? That we need to discuss our own negotiations first. Thane smiled, the expression transforming his face into the one she had fallen in love with so many years ago. And what negotiations are those? The ones about our future, she replied. About whether a human security captain and a Zephyrian queen can build something together in this new galaxy. I think, Thane said, pulling her into his arms, that's exactly the kind of challenge humans were made for. They kissed then, under the starlight, as the galaxy turned around them. In the distance, ships from dozens of species approached Zephyria Prime for a summit that would reshape interstellar relations for generations to come. At its center would be a love story that proved the universe's greatest truth, that connection transcends species. Memory transcends conditioning, and hope transcends even death itself. The next morning's summit would establish the Terran Federation as a major power in galactic politics, not through conquest or intimidation, but through their unique gift for finding solutions others couldn't imagine. And at the heart of it all would be a human man who had learned to love so completely that not even the loss of his identity could diminish it, and the alien queen who had learned that sometimes the universe's greatest gifts come disguised as impossible coincidences. The galaxy had seen many wonders, but the love between species was proving to be the greatest wonder of all. And humans, with their stubborn refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible, were leading the way into a future where love knew no boundaries. As the first ships of the diplomatic convoy entered Zephyrian space, their sensors detected something that would become the stuff of legend. Two figures silhouetted against the palace balcony, holding each other as they watched the dawn of a new era. A human and an alien, a guard and a queen, proving that sometimes the best stories really do have happy endings. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor after all, and humans, as always, were ready to laugh along with it while building something beautiful from the chaos.